Hey, welcome to the Joy Girl podcast. My name is Daira Avery Trainer, and I am so excited about our guest today. His name is Nick Guerra, and he is very funny. We talk about everything from popcorn to saying yes to opportunities, to celebrating victories, and helping others along the way. So Nick Guerra is definitely a comedian that will catch you off guard, but in a good way. His comedy has been described by his fans as a hilarious, soul-cleansing experience, a stand-up comedian that wants people to not only enjoy his show, but leave enjoying life in general. Nick has been featured on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, has a dry bar comedy special, Enjoy Life, and an HBO half-hour comedy special, Love Me at My Worst. He made his TV debut on Comedy Central's show Stand Up Revolution with Gabriel Iglesias, aka Fluffy, and was a fan favorite on NBC's Last Comic Standing. Will you please help me welcome the very funny, the very talented Nick Guerra. So let's dive in with the question that I love to ask everyone, and that is, name one thing that brings you joy.
So, what brings me joy? But one thing.
You can only name.
Hard.
No, you can name more than one if you can.
All right. Well, I'll tell you
one
major thing that brings me joy. My girlfriend, the woman I'm in love with, makes me popcorn every now and then on the stove.
Ooh.
And it's a healthy little snack, and she knows that I love it. And she asks me, "Do you want some?" And it gets me all excited, and that's instant joy for me.
Wow,
Just having that little snack prepared and knowing that of course I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
She'll ask,
yeah.
Right? Do you want some pop? Yes, of course I do. You don't have to ask, but she asks all the time and always gets it prepared, and it's just nice to have, you know?
I love that. I love that your answer is about people, and particularly someone you love, and popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn.
Who doesn't like popcorn?
Exactly.
If you don't like popcorn, I don't think you're trustworthy.
No.
I hate to say that, but popcorn's the best.
Popcorn's
like
fun.
Watching a movie without popcorn just feels wrong.
It feels weird. It does.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
There's no joy in it.
And I wonder if it's because I worked at a movie theater.
Oh, well,
that's why. But
you know what?
I've always liked popcorn.
I'll argue maybe the smell after a while you would not like popcorn.
Yeah.
But the fact you still love popcorn?
Popcorn's
that's joy.
It transcends your entire life. You know, popcorn brings a lot of joy, honestly. I remember being very happy knowing the exact time on my microwave for the perfect pop.
Oh, you've got it down to a science?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I haven't done it since because we cook it now on the stove.
All right.
But when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, don't worry, I'll get it ready. And I'd get the packaging ready. And
Quite
I put
the
it
chef.
in there. Yeah, so it was nice. It was nice to have that little accomplishment. Maybe that's why I have such an affinity for popcorn.
It's like a confidence thing.
Yeah.
You're like, I know I can deliver good popcorn.
Exactly. And I think people that can deliver it love to deliver it.
They're you go.
Like, oh, don't worry.
I get it.
I got it handled.
I get it. All right. So for those who may be watching or listening that don't know your story, so I know we're not going to cover it all. Don't worry. I'm not going to put you on the spot.
I started as a young baby.
There you go. But like backing up, what made you want to become a comedian?
You know, so to be a comedian, I think I always liked making people laugh. Mm-hmm. That's where we start at.
Okay.
And I only know that because my mother had told me that every time my friends were over, she'd always just hear us laughing.
Oh.
And there's I forget if it's Seinfeld's documentary Comedian or if it was an interview where he talked about how, you know, everybody was funny when you were a kid.
Okay.
You know, everyone around you was always funny because people ask comedians, were you the funny one? And his answer was, everyone was funny. Okay. And that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And then I kind of looked back on it, listened to my mom's answer. I was like, or maybe I was the funny one and they were just laughing. And so we were having a good time.
Yeah.
And I just thought like, oh, we're all in a group doing this.
But you were the one
creating
all
the
laughter.
The funny. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I remember everybody else being funny. You know?
Right.
So it starts there, enjoying to make people laugh. But to be a stand-up comic, I think what really was the vampire bite in the neck was I finally found a place to belong when I went to the first open mic and met other people that thought like this.
Wow.
And I think that's what made me want to be a stand-up, was I was like, I feel good here with these people.
Right.
And I don't know if it's because we think the same way.
Okay.
We all like to kind of make each other laugh, or we like to explore, you know, all types of jokes and humor and stuff like that, which you don't find in other areas.
True.
You know, anything you love, you're better off finding the people that also are into it, just to kind of talk shop.
I love it. So then fast forward and you've decided, okay, I'm pursuing this. This is what I'm going to do, with or without support, perhaps. What was the first step you took that was a risk? Something brave you did that you're like, okay, this is me being 100% in to this craft. This is what I want to do.
Getting fired.
Okay. All right.
So I had the choice.
All right.
I was going on the road with a comedian who was also from Texas.
Okay.
And, you know, the way I hooked up with this comedian, the manager of the Improv at the time,
all right,
his name's Sean Trainer.
I think I know him.
Do you know him?
Maybe a little.
He had called me up and he
Okay.
said, hey, this guy's looking for somebody to go down to McAllen, Texas to do a show. And I'm from there. So I said, I'll
Okay.
do it. I have no problem.
All right.
So then the guy started using me more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was booked at the Houston Improv,
Uh-huh.
right? And he wanted me to work there, but I was working my regular job.
Okay.
And the weekend started on Friday, so it would be like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And I went up to my boss and said, who knew I was a comic,
Right.
who employed comedians.
Okay.
And I said, hey, I got this gig.
Uh-huh.
Can I take off on Friday so I can go do this gig? It's with the
Right.
Houston Improv. And the boss sat me down. He's like, you know, here's the thing about stand-up comedy.
Uh-huh.
It might take 10 years for you to ever make it. So why,
Right.
you know, he was trying to talk me out of doing the gig. And
Right,
just
right.
coming into work.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, no,
No,
right?
yeah.
So I did call the headliner, and I was like, I can't get off of work.
Oh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
But he had called Sean. Sean
Uh-huh.
had worked it out with the Improv
Okay.
to get me in.
All right.
And I was like, well, I can't upset
Yeah.
the Improv because they might not work me again.
Right,
Like, I
right.
might burn myself here. So I set it up to leave, knowing that I was going to be in trouble.
Okay.
And my coworker called me and said, hey, your name is now off the schedule. And I
Uh-huh.
was like the manager of the office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
I wasn't like a small position.
No.
I
Like,
handled
this was
the
a big
sched-
deal to decide,
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do here?
What am I going to do? Because
Yeah.
that's that fear of like, am I going to let go? Am I going to risk just being
Right.
fired?
Right. Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And that was the big step off, like allowing myself to just, all right, I'm going to be fired.
Yeah.
Let's go do the gig.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love it. And, you know, I think a lot of times those steps of bravery, they pay off in the end. Maybe not always how we see it. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes you're like, oh, did I make a mistake? But ultimately, I think being brave and pursuing what you love, like you're going to get joy as a result, even if it
Yeah.
takes you down a weird path, because it's like, I think that's just part of getting out of your comfort zone and going for what you want,
Going
you
for
know?
what you love. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what made me do it.
Okay.
So I was talking to a comedian, and he tried to give me a tough talk. The same guy, the headliner.
Oh, okay. Like trying to talk you out of.
No. To like, oh, you want to do stand-up comedy?
Right. Yeah.
So his big thing was like, hey, man, you know, it takes years to put this in. You got to be
Right.
willing to at least put 5 years
Yeah.
just being on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him. I was like, I've already put 5 years into jobs I hate.
You know what? Exactly. That's such a good perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, well, I'm going to have to put time in somewhere.
Yeah.
I want to put it in on something that I enjoy.
That I enjoy.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. And the
So
payoff
that was
will
a
come.
choice. Yep.
I love it. All right. So I'm totally going off script here, but confidence is something that I talk a lot about in my book, because I don't think you can really have joy
It's very
if you don't
confident
like
of
who...
you to go off the script.
Oh, thank you. Well, I thank you for that one.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So I feel like if you don't have confidence, you're not going to be joyful because you don't like who you are. And I think you
Yeah.
got to start there. Like, so many people want other people to come along and make them better, but you got to work on yourself. You got to be confident. And obviously with what you do, it takes a lot of confidence because you're putting yourself out there. And like we kind of were discussing before, we started this, is that everybody has a different sense of humor. And so it's hard to please everyone. And at the end of the day, I feel like you've got to be confident in what you bring to the table and who you are. So how do you live that out? Like, what does confidence look like for you? Is there someone who's helped you along the way, or what? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, like, what do you do to get yourself confident before a show?
Do you know the Wu-Tang Clan? They're very.
Wow, I did not think we
I
were
read
going
a
to
lot
go
of
there.
their books, and they're very confident men, and I like their philosophy. Well, you know, I actually read a lot of like artist biographies. That's where I find some little bits of confidence and things like that.
Okay. All right.
I think as I've progressed, the confidence has taken different forms.
Okay.
So in the beginning, the first confidence was like, I am confident that I want to be on stage. I want to do this.
All right.
You know, and I'm going to give it my all to make it work. So the confidence was like, I'm going to just get on stage and do whatever I can to make people laugh.
Love it.
And then the confidence came of like, okay, now I know I can make them laugh. So the shape was, so now I think I think I can walk up there and actually live in my confidence more because I was just showcasing confidence.
Right.
You
Fake
know?
it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
Hey, it's true.
Yeah. And now I'll be on stage, 15 years in where I'm just like, yeah, so it's the confidence like, I know I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
I know I'm good at what I do, and if you don't like it, that's on you.
Right.
So that's the new confidence where you're kind of like, look, audience.
Right.
I know that this works.
Yeah.
And I've done this thousands of times.
Right.
So if you don't like it, you're ruining your own night.
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. And
You're
it's
wrong.
that different type of confidence where it's like, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah. I like it. I think there's so much truth to that. I think you can't apologize for who you are or how you
No.
see the world. And that's what you bring every time you go up is your perspective on that.
Yeah.
And you're
yeah.
really funny. So that also really helps.
Yeah, and at a certain point, you just know, like, I know what I'm going to do. It's very much like, have you ever put on Hitman movies or movies with The Rock where, I hate doing this? Like, what was the one that he did with, I forget what it was called, where he had to go find Sean Astin, I think is the guy's name. No, it may not be.
I
He was
think
the
we
guy in
watched
American
like totally
Pie.
different
All right, never
shows.
mind. Yeah, maybe it wasn't Sean Astin.
Have you seen Gossip Girl?
Have
No.
you seen it? Well, okay, so Gossip Girl, the confidence of having a blog
Yeah.
and saying, I'm going to gossip on these people.
Oh my gosh. I was going to go with the fashion angle, but yeah. That works too. That works too.
Well, it's that idea of like, I know how to do this job and,
Right.
I'm going to do it perfect.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I'm going to John Wick this. You know
I
what I'm
like
saying?
it.
There
Okay,
you
I
go.
do know.
Is
There
that
we go.
better?
There we
All
go.
right.
Yeah, now, yes. So one of the things I talk about in my book is about this concept of tribe, this idea that kind of everybody who is in your circle, they contribute to who you become. And you need people. Like, I think we all know that whether it's just through connections or through your circle, they're there for you thick and thin. So name one person that's just like always been there for you that you would consider, maybe you've never called it your tribe.
Even in my career.
Even in your career.
Well, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
It is true.
Right?
I believe it.
My tribe, it does consist of different people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was great to have my mother on my side.
Okay.
That was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been very much supportive of me.
That's
She's come to
awesome.
probably more shows than anybody else.
That's cool.
I took her to the Tonight Show when I did it. And
Aw.
yeah, she had a good time. So it was nice having my mother be that part of the tribe. Very supportive, very
Yeah.
much willing to you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Not really question it. Although still as a mom, she will every now and then.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But other than that, there's this one guy that Steve Hallis, he's a buddy of mine.
Okay.
He started in Dallas too, and he's just he's older than me, and he has a different type of wisdom,
Okay.
and he'll correct me on little things like, oh, I'm saying this word wrong, or he'll give me the confidence of like having that older mindset that is doing the exact same thing you've done,
Got it.
and doesn't like criticize you, doesn't like make
Yeah.
fun of you for what you do, but is willing to be like, hey, let me just correct this a little bit.
Yeah,
You
like
know.
a mentor, really.
Yeah, in a
That's
weird way, a
awesome.
mentor, and but he wouldn't call himself that. That's the
Okay.
thing, is that he would never say, "Oh, I mentor Nick." He'd never
No.
say that. No, not at all.
Huh.
He's just a friend that I trust, in the sense of like, there's nothing that there's no motive behind it.
Ah, gotcha.
It's just like, let me give you this little piece of info. Let me correct you on this. Let me send you down this right path, kind of thing.
Those
you
are
know?
the best kind of people.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't have an agenda. They're just
Yeah,
they're
there's
just
no
rooting
agenda,
for you.
just there.
They're on your team.
Yeah. So he'd probably be a good point man for me.
I like it.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of small wins, so I have this concept where I believe sometimes we set the bar so high for ourselves that we can't accomplish anything. Then we get down on ourselves, and then it becomes kind of this cycle of we forget to celebrate anything good happening, and then we have a lack of joy because we don't feel we're accomplishing enough. I don't know, and this is something I definitely struggle with is I want to always be accomplishing things, and I think performers are often that way where they need to know their next big gig or the next thing they're doing, the next level they can achieve. But I believe it all starts with small wins, that one little thing that then pivots to something bigger and bigger and becomes kind of a domino effect. So can you talk about a small win that you experienced that maybe led to something bigger, but it started with something that just was an opportunity that you took and maybe didn't realize where it would lead?
An opportunity that I took that I didn't realize where it would lead was so many.
Okay.
You know, the McAllen gig, that was an opportunity that took me on the road.
Right,
and
right.
shaped me to be a comic. Didn't know it was going to take me to, you know, touring in Florida, touring all over Texas, all over California. Eventually led me to California. I guess I'll say this.
Okay.
Because I have a few, but this one's the reason that I'm out in California. I did an open mic at the Arlington Club, and the headliner for that weekend was Gene Pompa, right? And
Okay.
Gene's been in the game a little bit longer. I didn't know Gene, but I guess I hung out with him that night, right?
Okay.
And this probably happened in 2006,
Okay.
2006-07. And then on MySpace in 2009, so MySpace was already on its way out.
Yeah.
All right?
All right.
I get a message from Gene. Hey, do you ever want to come to California to do a gig? I can offer you a gig, you know, for like $75. And I'll try to find another for you. But if you come out here, I want to talk to you about an opportunity.
Okay.
And I luckily had a family member that worked for Southwest that had buddy passes, and I would
Nice.
just pay them.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was going to cost me $150
Just to get out.
to get out there,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I was like, sure, I'll do it, you know, knowing I was going to lose money, which in your career early on, you don't want to lose any money.
Right.
A lot of people say no because they're like, I don't even want to lose $20, you know, which is a mindset that you have to get out of
Right.
in order to accomplish anything.
Agreed.
But I was fine with it. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll lose some money. I'll come out there. So I flew out there, and he's like, hey, it's so great to have you. I remember you from back at that open mic. Thought you were a great comic.
Wow.
I'm filming this special with these people where I'm going to host. It's going to be 4 comedians, and the comedians were Felipe Esparza, Cristela Alonso, me, and Ty Rivera, right?
All right. Yeah.
And I'm going to put it
Names.
together. Yeah, some names. I'm going to put it together and hopefully shop it around. And it was between you and another comedian, and the other comedian was based in L.A. And whichever one of you showed up was going to get the thing.
Wow. All right.
So the guy based in L.A. didn't even want to get in a car
oh goodness.
to go have this meeting. And I got on a plane.
Right.
You know? And so it's like this small win.
Yeah.
I end up doing it. The special never comes out, thankfully, because it was very, I wouldn't have wanted out.
All right. There
Right?
you go.
But because of that is the reason that I got to LA, where it's like, okay, now I'm planting my flag here, and I'm gonna
Nice.
exist in this place.
Yeah. So you just never know.
Never know. Yeah.
Yeah. So say yes to as many things that make sense, or even sometimes when you're on the fence, like.
Yeah. Well,
Be
I live by
brave.
the rule of say yes until you can afford to say no.
Okay, I like that.
You
That's
know-
good advice. Let's just put it that way.
Oh,
You're
the winning.
You're
Oh,
winning.
small victories.
And you've got
Here you
small
go.
victories.
All right.
All right. You got another
Celebrate
one?
every victory.
Celebrate.
That's
yes.
what I tell everybody. That's what I've been telling comedians
too.
recently. Every little victory.
You have to.
You have to.
You have to find reasons to eat cake.
Yeah, and the thing is that you have to get the cake yourself. All right?
Oh, you're good.
So-
you're good.
Eddie Murphy, huge star at 21, threw his own birthday parties. You know, nobody threw it for him.
Right.
He threw his own birthday parties.
Right.
You have to celebrate yourself.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. I love it.
Joey Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that kind of gave me this idea.
Okay.
So I did a road gig with him in Odessa, Texas, in a random barn that turned out to be a meth house later on.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's the
Small,
kind of gigs we do.
I don't know, small win, questionable.
You get paid in quash. You get paid in cash,
Okay.
which is the different quash. Get paid in cash, right? So
yeah.
he told me, he's like, because he was on Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one.
Mm-hmm.
And he played the subway hero who stood up for Spider-Man. And he said, man, I should have thrown a party. Even though it was a small part, I should have just celebrated it.
Yeah,
because when people see you celebrating your accomplishments, all they want to do is bring you more.
Yep.
They want to succeed with you. They
Exactly. Exactly.
So I learned, like, you need to celebrate every win. Plus, it's all a win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's something to be said about saying, if I accomplish this little thing, this is going to be, for lack of a better word, my prize. Like, I'm going to go ahead and set, like, I do this, whatever it is in life, and then to have fun in that, because it does create energy to go out and then do more of those type of things. But you have to sometimes champion yourself.
Yeah,
you can't
have to.
expect somebody else to do it for you.
You have to Kanye this life. He completely believes himself. You know? Yeah.
That we can all learn something from someone. There you go.
Exactly.
There we go. That's
I mean, this
good
is
advice.
a little win.
Yeah.
All the things that I did in my career, it led to this.
Aw,
And
that's very kind.
Yeah.
That's very kind.
This is another little win.
I love it. Well, I feel
If
the same
anything,
way.
I got free coffee.
And who doesn't love a good Starbucks coffee?
And that's a win.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a deep question. So I'm glad you're prepared with the coffee.
Yeah.
So when I was starting this project, I was writing on all these different concepts, and I like to be really upbeat. And then I just kind of had this sense that I needed to tap into pain, which doesn't at first glance make a lot of sense because I'm supposed to be helping people have joy.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't take long to live in life to realize that you're going to be confronted with pain, or even in the comedy industry world, there's so many people that make people laugh for a living but deal with mental illness, and they deal with depression, and they deal with kind of this darker side, and we all have things in our life that are tough. And so I feel like it's not doing anyone justice to not go there and say, can you have joy even through difficult seasons, even through times when you experience pain? So the question for you is, how do you find joy when you're in a difficult season in your life? Like, what do you do to create that for yourself?
I reflect on what I do or what I've done.
Okay.
And I also remind myself that everything I've accomplished was not supposed to happen in the grand scheme of things. Especially with stand-up comedy.
Right.
It's a career that it's not supposed to exist. There's no real reason for it. There's no career path. There's no college courses. I mean, maybe there's one now where they're claiming to study stand-up,
Right.
but they study it.
Right.
you know? So I remind myself, I'm like, anything that I've done technically was never supposed to happen.
It's a gift.
It's a gift.
Right.
And that's what gets me through that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes, there is pain in this, but it's a good pain. Cypress Hill put out a song called Rockstar. And in one of the snippets...
Okay. I like it.
In one of the snippets, they're talking about the career, They're like, it's a fun job, but it's still a job. I reverse that.
Okay.
I'm like, it's a job, but it's a fun job, and I enjoy doing it. So that's how I live through it.
Right.
It's just simply flipping it,
I like it. I like that.
That's all it takes.
It's cheesy to say like laughter is the best medicine, but I do think what you're privileged really to get to do is even when somebody is in pain, they can escape for that for a little bit, and they can laugh, and they can enjoy their life, and they can be a part of something that feels like they can just for a second breathe. And I think comedy allows people to just laugh and just say, okay, maybe things aren't as bad as I think.
Yeah.
And you get to give the gift of that. So
It's a payoff in two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
I think
the
so.
performer, it's the payoff of like, oh wow, what I'm saying is connecting.
Right.
And that's all we want to do as humans, is connect
Right.
with other humans.
Very true.
And the more people can talk to each other, the more they might connect.
Right.
So it's immediate endorphin explosion of like, I am connecting.
Yes.
These thoughts that were stuck in my head that I didn't know if they were peculiar thoughts are making people laugh.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
And then the other side is for the audience, the surprise of like, oh, that was fun to hear. Oh, that was a funny little thing to kind of laugh at.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that go to stand-up comedy to kind of have those freeing moments. And I have to remind myself that sometimes you'll see a face in the crowd where it doesn't look like they're enjoying the show, but they are. They just don't express it out loud.
Right.
You know, and I know that because when I watch comedy, I don't laugh.
You're a hard critic.
Yeah, I'm not a hard critic.
No?
I'm an analyzer.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people that analyze and they're engineering what you're doing and they're figuring it out and they're putting it together. Their mind just works in different ways. Some people are going through a tough time where they're enjoying it. They're just, they're just enjoying it. And then there's the ones that allow the explosion of laughter to happen.
Right.
It's nothing about criticism. There might be a few critics in there, but you can't focus on them.
Right.
Right. It's like, once again, I know this works. If you're choosing not to enjoy it.
Right.
That's on
you. It's you. You're confident.
Yeah. It's not on me.
Yeah.
Everyone else is having fun.
Yeah.
Right. But some of the best moments in this career are when you do know that someone's going through something and you've lifted them up. So, and I've had a few.
Okay.
But a big one was I was doing a show where the promoter said, there's a Make-A-Wish child here who's, going to be watching the show. I was like, okay, great. So I'm having fun, and every now and then I'll do crowd work, and it was an all-ages show. There was tons of kids, right? And making them laugh, the key to, like, making all-ages show works is that you got to get the parents to be comfortable first.
I see. Okay.
Because they have to let go
right.
so that both sides can enjoy it, right? So I'm doing crowd work, picking on the kids, having a good time. There's one table of families that I'm picking on, and just going from family to family. Then after the show, they're like, oh, do you want to meet the kid? I was like, oh, great. Yeah, I'll meet him. He's a big fan of stand-up. He just wanted to see a stand-up show. It's like, okay. It was one of the kids that I was making fun of, like the main one, and his dad was just like, you made our entire night, right? You completely... it was a big trip for them. It's like, this is the first night of our trip and nothing's going to compare to this. So that moment kind of like, makes you feel the reality of bringing joy and bringing humor.
Wow.
And he came up to me like 3 other times throughout that trip. Like, you made our whole trip. Just want to let you know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I mean, that's something that sticks with you and reminds you, I think, too, when you're down or you're like, it's like, oh, I remember that moment. I know what I do really matters. And it really does bring people to a happier place than maybe when they came in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a really cool story. All right. Last question that I ask everyone. And that is, what advice would you give to someone who's watching or listening and they're wanting more joy? What would you say to them? How should they go about getting more joy? Other than, of course, reading the book. But your perspective,
well, read the
Nick.
book. Definitely read.
Definitely, yeah.
Reading brings joy.
Reading does bring joy for some.
Learning brings joy. I mean, that's the big thing. Learning, definitely. Opening your mind will bring joy. The more that you allow your own unanswered questions, things that you didn't even know needed to be answered, whether through learning or experience or this and that, the more joy you'll feel in the world, because you're like, okay, I don't feel so alone. And know that you're not alone. That's a big thing. As unique as we are, we're not. And it's okay.
Right.
Because when you understand that you're not alone, you're not unique in your problems, you can go find that little group that somehow connects to you, whether it's through making knives or making jokes. You can find the joy out there of a group that connects to you and that makes you feel open. And then we've kind of talked about it. Celebrate your victories. This is what I do on stage. I tell people, I'm like, celebrate everything. Celebrate your victories.
I love it.
And make popcorn. How about that?
I love it. I was like, this is the home
popcorn.
run. This is gonna be the real deep truth. Make popcorn.
Make some popcorn.
Don't burn your popcorn.
Don't
You'll
burn
be
your
happy.
popcorn. have some good joy.
You've been awesome. This
Oh,
has
thank
been
you.
so much fun. Now I really just want to go eat popcorn, though.
There you
So
go.
my weekend is definitely going to consist of some butter.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I loved watching you from afar, like, YouTube, all your stuff, and like was so amazed by what you do and just your raw and realness about relationships and everything you bring.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly, it just like instantly connects, but talking to you even more so, like you're exactly the same. Like you're just extremely down to
Thank
earth
you.
and confident. And I just think you're the perfect person to be talking to Joy about because you
Thank
really
you.
are joyful.
I guess I am.
You're happy. You seem like a very happy dude. Unless this is all a really awesome
No.
acting job, you are very joyful. And so I'm just
No.
it's
accept
real.
my
It seems
flaws.
very real.
Yeah. I do my best to enjoy myself.
Yes. Well, it's clear, and I'm just so happy to have you on the podcast and just to hear a little bit about your story. And I just wish you nothing but the best and more small wins that lead to greater wins and celebrating all along the way as you eat popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna eat popcorn and enjoy looking back on my memories.
There you go. I love it. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.